On this episode of the O2 Garage, we have got the U-Haul 3,500 kilogram trailer on the back because we are picking up a new project car and it is going to be mind-blowing. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the O2 Garage. As you can see, we're back in the garage. We've got the AU behind us and we're making some great progress on this, and some more updates will be coming very soon. But right now I'm just having a look at my my old photo album of cars that I had over the years, and I kept a whole lot of photos of all the cars that I had when I was really young, and you know, obviously a lot more footloose and fancy free, as they would call it. So all sorts of vehicles came up, and there's always cars that you're going to miss when you sell, and you think, oh, if I only had that now, knowing what they're worth today, you would have never sold them. And I looked through these cars, and even when we lived in Scotland, Catherine and I had some amazing cars over there. But when we came back from Scotland and we knew we were going to start a family, we moved back into South Australia, and we bought a couple of different vehicles and different cars. And in total, I think, if my memory serves me correct, I've had over 100 cars. I think it's about 110 cars now. And there was one vehicle that we were forced to sell, and I always regretted selling it. And I probably would still have it today if I did. We came back from the UK, we had Thomas, so there was three of us. And then little Miss Ruby Grace came along, who you've seen on the show. And when Ruby came along, the car that I had at the time didn't suit because it only took three people. So we literally had to sell it. And I did always regret selling that. And what it actually was I think a 1974 Dodge D5N Express delivery. And if you know anything about Dodges, they come in different sizes. You know, there's a 200 series, a 300 series, a 400 series, and they go all the way up to the semi-trailers. And the unique thing about the Dodges, and prior to that, there was a model called the AT4. And the AT4 and the Dodge all share exactly the same body panels and cabs. So you can swap them between. And they've got different front ends on them, but the dash and the seats and all that, you can swap it all through. So the shortest and smallest one is a two-wheel drive version called the 114, which is a 200 series. And we had a Dodge D5N Express delivery, short wheelbase, two-wheel drive. It had Sunraysia tyres on it, it had the step-side tray on the back, and it was a beautiful colour of blue, and it had black interior. And I bought it from down in Seaford Rise, and it had a busted front steering arm on it. Picked it up for $1,000, and I put a lot of love into it. And that Dodge stayed with me for a while, and I missed it a lot, and I eventually sold it. And when I sold it, I had slammed it right down, and I had black wheels on it with white lettering. It looked like a NASCAR truck. It was a really cool thing. It went to Sydney, and I lost touch of it. And even to this day, I've been searching for that truck, and I just can't find it anywhere. It's in Sydney, New South Wales somewhere, probably sitting in a shed, I don't know. But I always regretted selling that truck and not having that. And, and just recently, with the Finger, it's given me a lot more thinking time as to what I want to achieve and what I'd like to achieve for the kids and the cars. And Thomas has sorted out. He's got his lovely Lexus IS250. You guys have seen that. And now my attention turns to Ruby, who's 14 years old. And Ruby's at a stage where she's now starting to get some money together. She's doing things like the Daihatsu and the Bedford, and the money's coming together, and she's getting closer and closer to her high school car. But the reality of it is, our family has had a bit of a shift in the way things are going to be to the normal families, because Thomas is about 18 months to 2 years away from, he will finish year 12 this year, and then he is pursuing his NFL punting dream, and he's well and truly into that. So that got me thinking that after high school, his car's going to be sitting around if he does go overseas. And Ruby doesn't really need a high school car. She could probably put her money into a collectible car and have that as an asset moving forward. Now, all of you know right now, collector cars are worth their weight in gold, a whole lot of money. And everything chrome bumper, as you've seen from the barn find auctions, well, those cars, you can buy them and make serious money on them. So that got me thinking that maybe Ruby would have a better chance of putting an asset together if her car was an old car. So that brings me back to the Dodge. Because I found not one Dodge, I found 2 Dodges. And not only have I found those Dodges, but with Ruby's money and a little bit of my money as well, we've already bought them. Yeah! That's right, we have already bought the 2 Dodge trucks. And today, we are going to go pick up Dodge number 1. So it's an extremely emotional and exciting time in the O2 Garage that a car that we missed is now going to return to the fold, and we're not going to sell it. We are going to turn it into the coolest street truck a 17-year-old on her P plates can possibly drive. She's going to drive it, she's going to use it. She'll use Tom's car, that's a lot more safer. But this is going to be Ruby's truck. So she's going to be a pretty cool chick indeed. Am I a happy dad? Yeah, I'm a happy dad. Okay, so we are now heading towards truck number 1. What we're going to go and pick is a Dodge EP4 114 short wheelbase 2-wheel drive. Bit of a mouthful, but it's probably one of the toughest Dodge trucks to get. Now that's going to form the basis of our build, and we're going to talk about the other truck once we get there in regards to what we're going to do with that. But what we're going to do is we're actually going from where we are south of Adelaide to a place called Mannum. So if you don't know where Mannum is, Mannum's on the River Murray here in South Australia, to a guy's yard up there. We're going to grab the small truck and bring it back to Onkaparinga Hills tonight, and then I'm going to take it all the way up to Port Augusta, where I live during the week, and it's going to stay up there when we get it prepped and ready so we can start the build. So, small truck will get stripped down. Once the small truck is stripped down just to the chassis, then we'll go back to the same place and pick up the red truck. What is the red truck? The red truck is currently a 4-ton truck. Huge beast of a thing, but we only want the cab. The reason being is the cab is actually rust-free, has no rust in it, and the paint has got heaps good patina on it. Heaps good? That's not very good English. Heaps of good patina. So what I'm thinking we'll be able to do is just clean it up, polish it up, a bit like we did with the Baja, and then we'll lift the cab off. We'll get rid of the chassis that we don't need. It's basically a truck chassis. Get rid of that, take that to Sims, whatever. Put the red chassis on the short wheelbase chassis, bring it back to Adelaide, and then finish the truck off. Now, here's the tip, because Ruby is currently filming, aren't you, Ruby? Hello. She's behind the camera, you can't see her. But we have already got an idea for what truck we're going to build, how it's going to look, how it's going to sit. Very similar to my original blue truck, but this one is going to be obviously red because, well, Ruby is red, and she's just get the camera right now, Ruby. There you go. So, what we're going to do is use the truck, which is called Moonshine. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not. It's an interstate truck, and as you can see from the photos right now, it's a pretty cool looking thing. Really good wheel selection, good tyre selection. It does have the rear tub on the back. I'll get to that in a second. But that's going to be, for want of a better reason, the template for our build. We're not going to go crazy and silly and stupid. We're going to build something we know is going to work. Let's talk about the tub. We've got the front of the car, front of the truck, the red truck. We now need a rear tub. Now, it doesn't really matter what tub we get because we can always colour match and patina match, but we do need to find a tub. So if you are watching this and you know where there's a tub in South Australia with a step side tray at the back, let us know. We are super keen to find out where there is one. So that's what we need. Now, the final bit of the puzzle. The current truck that we're going to go pick up at the moment is running a very, very good running 245 heavy duty Valiant 6-cylinder. Very similar to what you get in, you know, CL Chryslers, all that sort of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it, except it just needs, what does it need, a clutch? I think it needs a clutch.
Clutch and brakes.
Clutch and brakes, it needs clutch and brakes. Thank you, Ruby. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at those in time. However, the red truck when you get to see it, is called a 475. It's a 4-ton Dodge AT4, and it has a 313 cubic inch poly V8. It's got the same gearbox, it's got all the good bits and pieces, but it's a V8. So Ruby on her P plates can only drive a 4-litre motor, so she can drive it with the 6-cylinder in it. But we're going to have a poly V8 there, so when she finishes her P plates, we can drop the poly straight in, and it will have that lovely, beautiful V8 soundtrack. So as you can see, that's the reason why I'm so excited, because these trucks are just going to keep on giving and giving, and as we meld the 2 trucks into one truck, it is just going to be epic and awesome, and you're along for the ride. So let's go get the first one. And we're home, and I'm not going to lie to you, it wasn't an easy trip. It was a long trip. The Pajero did really well, but when you're towing a truck like this on the back, you always want to take your time. Now, let me tell you about the truck itself. We have got ourselves a Dodge AT4 114, and what 114 means the length of the wheelbase. And as you can see, if I sort of step back here, it's not a big truck, it's quite small. The cab itself is very, very rusty. And when I say rusty, it's not too bad, but have a look at the rust there, and have a look at the rust there, and when I open up inside here, it's got some rust down in there, and it even has things like rust up here and even in the floor. So the reality of it is this particular cab it's just not usable. It's got a lot of holes that aren't needed on it. And just a lot of stuff that, look, you could make a really cool rat rod truck out of this, no problems at all, and it would be a funky, very genuine rat rod truck. But my daughter's got to drive this, so I've got to kind of put a little bit of style back into it for her, hence the red truck. But what we will be able to use is we are going to be able to use things like all of the gauges. This is a really rare indicator, and it also has like a hazard light switch on the side of it as well, which is even cooler. We'll be able to use all the switch gear, the wiring, the gear stick, the pedals, you know, and even the glass. We'll be keeping the glass out the back here. Not a huge amount is going to happen. We're going to keep those wheels. We'll probably put white wheels on those. The diff will stay, and all the bits and pieces. And you can see it's a pretty serious unit under here. It's not a mess around, and it actually has fully floating axles in it. We'll probably pick up some more shock absorbers as well. But up front is where the action's all going to happen, because we do have a pretty cool sort of a power plant, and a power plant that I know a little bit about. I've had one of these before, and this, as you can see, is a Valiant, what we would call 6-cylinder motor. It's got a good sized radiator on it. It has got a remote brake booster on it, and it all looks pretty good. It's got all the tags on it, and believe it or not, this motor runs, and it is a 4-litre. It's a 245 Valiant straight 6, but we're going to keep the running gear but get rid of the body. But we're going to keep the body because we're going to sell the body off, recoup a bit of money back before we put the other one on. I reckon what we need to do now is start this thing up so you guys can hear it. So let's do that. But let's see if we can get it running. You go around the front, watch the engine. Fuel pump, fuel pump. Look at that, look at that. How good is that? I mean, that was a cold start, and look at that. You're going to tell me that's not a good motor? Good compression, fired up. You put a 50-cent piece on that, we'll be keeping this one for sure. So we've started to clear it out, Rubes, but what is it like to now have your own truck?
I mean,
hey?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah?
It's my truck.
Yeah?
Mine. I might let you drive it.
Yeah? What's the best thing about it so far that you've seen? I mean, look, this is not the truck we're going to use,
but it's the start of it. What do you think we can? What's your best bit so far?
I think the seat.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is over there.
having that trim seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And what was the interesting thing we found on the back window? Do you remember?
Oh, this car was sold in Manham from where we bought it to. Well, we picked it up today. We bought it
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and it didn't move from Manham from its whole lifetime.
It'd been in that area, hadn't it?
Yep.
It'd been a farm truck.
Yes.
So now it's your truck.
Yes.
And now it's in Onkaparinga Hills.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're going to try and keep that sticker, aren't we?
Went on a holiday.
Yeah, so we're going to keep that sticker?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Well, mate, I'm really happy, Rubes, that you've got this truck. And I'm really happy that it's now your beast. And I'm really interested to see where it's going to end up because I think it's pretty cool.
It's mine.
Yours?
Stay away.
So we've got that one on the back. But did you think we would finish this episode without showing you the red truck? I didn't think you did. That's the red truck.